How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Finally, we have been awaiting this day, or at least I've been awaiting this day for not such a long time, but long enough. Definitely one of my most anticipated albums of the fall. We now got the new album by All That Remains, Victim of a New Disease. It's finally here, guys, and I tell you, never thought I'd ever be excited for another All That Remains album after Madness, because that album to me was just a big disappointment. If you guys have seen my review for that, you know what I'm talking about. And you know, when I heard that All That Remains was already back in the studio, I really didn't have much high hopes. I was like, well, it's probably going to be another Madness or another Order of Things or something. But no. When they released their first single, I was like, okay, I can tell that they're going back to the roots. Now, obviously we all know what happened with Ollie Herbert. He sadly passed away, and yeah, definitely a huge tragedy in the metal scene. You know, because without him, All That Remains would have never happened, and his guitar playing was just phenomenal, and his guitar playing is really phenomenal on this album. So, may he rest in peace. And I tell you what, if this does end up being All That Remains' final record, as sad as I would be about that, I think it would be an appropriate way to end a career. But enough of that. Let's get into the track listing. So it starts off with F Love, which was the first single release for this album, and this was a song that kind of made me thought, yeah, they're probably going to go back to the heavier roots and things of that nature. And from what I heard, apparently Phil Labonte went through some kind of rough divorce or something, which would explain some of these song titles and like why he went in a more heavier direction than on the last few albums, which is definitely understandable, and I think it can be to some extent kind of relatable. Yeah, this song is incredible. It's a great opening track. It's definitely the heaviest song on the album, and that scream at the very end of it, I mean, when I heard that, I couldn't believe it. Like, how much energy and how his lungs, how did his lungs do that, you know? Like, I was just thinking, how is that even humanly possible? Like, that scream goes on for a while, unless somehow it's edited, but I don't think it is. Yeah, definitely crazy. Great song. Then we got Everything's Wrong, which was another single released. This is a song that I do like. This is more on the radio-friendly... This is more of like a radio rock-friendly song. But I do like this song. I think it's a great one. Definitely appropriate for a single. I like the introduction with the acoustic guitars. Kind of gives me an In Flames vibe. And the chorus isn't perfect, but I do like it. I like Phil's singing voice in this song. And then we got Blood I Spill, which is a very interesting song. I really like the vocal delivery in this song, and if you're someone who's more of a fan of All That Remains, more old school stuff like Behind Silence and Solitude and This Darkened Heart, I think this song is going to have something that you like. I think it's a great song, and I can see myself returning to this song. Yeah, Blood I Spill, maybe one of the best tracks on the album, but that's really hard to tell. Then we got Wasteland, which is a track I've already covered before. I'm definitely a big fan of this song. One of my favorites of the singles. Probably was my favorite of the singles. It always gave me a Demon Hunter vibe, which I like, especially in the chorus. And the thing that's really unique about this song is you can tell that Phil Labonte put so much energy in his vocal delivery and so much passion. Like, I can't say that the clean vocals are better than the scream vocals, and I also can't say that the scream vocals are better than the clean vocals. I mean, he really gave it his all best in this song, and I'm really glad that they made this song one of the singles, because when this song first came out, it gave me so much more high hopes for this album. And then we got Alone in the Darkness, which... Now, this is where the weak spots come in my opinion. This is probably my least favorite song on the album. But that's not saying much, because I think it's still pretty decent. And to be honest with you guys, this is really the only song on this album that I'm just not too crazy about. It is more on the ballad side, and as a lot of you know, I'm not too fond of All That Remains ballads. But I do think this song is only alright. Not a song that I can see myself returning to much. But maybe it'll grow on me as the album ages. And then we got Misery in Me, which might be another favorite of mine. I definitely like this one a lot. Gives me a Killswitch Engage vibe, which I really like. And Broken. I think Broken is another song that old school All That Remains fans will like. I definitely like the guitar work and everything in that song. And the next track is Just Tell Me Something, which has a guest vocalist, Danny Worsnop, if that's how you say it. Definitely an interesting song. I like the... I believe there's like a middle section in this song that really stood out to me, and yeah, it's hard to say if it's one of my favorites or not, but it's a great song. I Meant What I Said, definitely a great song as well. I like Phil's vocal delivery as usual. And then the album closes out with Victim of the New Disease, the title track. Definitely a more traditional All That Remains song, and that's not a bad thing either. I think this song kind of reflects back on the Fall of Ideals and Overcome era, which is definitely good stuff. Not the best album closer, but it's a great song nonetheless. So, yeah, that's the whole album, guys. Definitely an album that I enjoyed. Is it my favorite album of this year? Well, find out in my end of the year list. Yeah, there's really only a couple complaints I have with this album, and that is, I felt like the album could have been longer since it's only 10 tracks. It's only 39 minutes in length, but it's far way better than anything from Order of Things, Madness, A War You Cannot Win. I will go as far to say that Victim of a New Disease is All That Remains' best album since, like, Overcome or For We Are Many. And the other complaint that I had as well, of course, was the song Alone in the Darkness. This song just, like I said, it kind of bored me a little bit, but maybe it's a song that'll grow on me. So definitely a great album. I'm going to have to give it a 9 out of 10. And actually, scratch that. I'm going to give it a 9.5. Because initially I did want to give this album a 10 out of 10, because there's not really much wrong with this album. But I think a 9.5 out of 10 is a more reasonable score. I definitely enjoyed this album. It's a great album. If you're an All That Remains fan, you need to listen to this ASAP. And if you're someone who has been disappointed in All That Remains' more recent albums, this is definitely an album you don't want to pass up, because I'll be one to admit, I'm also one of those people that weren't too fond of the last couple of All That Remains albums. But this album really was a step up. I mean, going from Madness to this was just what happened. Guys, that just about wraps up not only just this review, but all the albums that I've been looking forward to this year. Next albums that, the next new albums, of course, to look forward to, for me at least, will be in 2019. Definitely enjoyed Victim of the New Disease by All That Remains, though. Let me know what you guys think of the album if you heard it. So thank you so much for watching, have a good one, and take care.